Hi everyone, I'm Jermaine and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be sharing with you about my successful EAE experience. You might have seen my previous video where I applied to Singapore Poly via EAE. And if you're interested to know more about the interview process, the aptitude test and how to submit a portfolio, then keep on watching. You will first apply for EAE via the online submissions, which starts somewhere around end June. Now the online submission is via the e-portal, so you have to take note of what time and when it will begin. And basically you have to fill up some details about yourself and also answer some questions. So your answers to these questions are very important, but most importantly is the number of your choices. And I'll tell you more why later. But just in case you're wondering, some of the questions will include such as why do you want to choose this course, and describe yourself in like less than 1,000 characters, something like that. So it'll be good if you actually have a sense of what you want to answer before you log into the portal. And I would encourage you to actually type out your answers on a separate Microsoft Word so that in case the portal crashes or your internet connection fails, you still have a backup. You don't have to redo everything. It took me about 3 hours to perfect all my answers before I finally submitted. Now after I submitted the online submission, I got an email from Singapore Poly asking me to go down for their written test. Now this written test is different from an aptitude test. An aptitude test will basically test you on your general knowledge, so you can read up on that. But for a written test, we really didn't know what was going on. And turns out it was very simple. They just asked us a few questions. And some of the questions were like, describe yourself in 3 words. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and what would you use it for? And where do you see yourself in 10 years? Next, after we finished our written test, we were also informed that there's a part 2 to our segment where we have this process for all the students applying for CAS, Communication Arts and Social Sciences. Basically, we have to do something called Film It, where we have to film a 1-minute short video to introduce ourselves. And that's where I did the Singapore Poly EAE video, which most of you probably have seen by now. And some tips for that. Basically what they are looking out for is creativity, your confidence in front of the camera, and they want to know whether you know what you're talking about. So it's really about the way you portray yourself. I've seen a lot of people do things like draw my life, and also me, I did just an introductory video where I talked about what I did. But I saw some really interesting ones by my friends where they did like movie trailers and stuff, and that was so cool. So obviously they got in based on creativity. So the second round is actually the interview round. And for the interview, we have to prepare our report card and our portfolio. And I will talk to you about the portfolio now. Now, a lot of people are not sure what to include inside their portfolio, because we were not taught that in school. I don't know why, because it's really important. Basically, before you put together your portfolio, you should see what your course is looking out for. Like for me, I knew my course was looking out for people who have like experience in writing. So along with my basic information in the first page, I included stuff like drama, which would lead to the script writing aspect of my course. Things like writing in a newspaper and acting in short films, stuff like that. And all these were in chronological order. So I talked about my blog and my YouTube channel where I produced content, and I wrote for the school newsletter, stuff like that. So because I have quite a lot of things to include in my portfolio, I actually arranged them in chronological order. Like in 2010, this is what I did. 2011, 2013 to now, what am I doing? In 2015, I wrote a newsletter, stuff like that. So it's good if you have experience in like competitions. Like I joined the national debates. And then most importantly, they also want to see your leadership positions. So what have you done in your 4 years in secondary school? They are looking out for people who are special. And also they want to know about your voluntary work. So I'm quite an avid volunteer, so I have quite a bit of stuff there. And if you have any like voluntary work, or if you've worked before, you might want to get like testimonials. This, and then some other achievements that you have and competitions that you've participated in. And then at the back, just throw in random certificates like that. So yeah, that should be a portfolio. And try to get like a black or dark blue clear file like that. I've actually seen some people who just give like a plastic, you know, those plastic files, and I think that wasn't very impressive because the interviewer will have to like open and take out one by one, and it's just very troublesome. Whereas for this, it's just easy for them to just flip through like that. the templates and everything, you can see I tried to make it as neat as possible so it will really impress them. Don't just put in words, chunks and chunks of words, because honestly they're not gonna read so much. And don't just put in pictures either, because you should explain what you did and which year it was. I actually got this template off of Google Docs. Like, this was their resume template, but I just changed it to write portfolio and stuff. So yeah, don't worry too much about a portfolio, because honestly they're not going to really look in very detail. They're just going to skim through. So that's why it's important to only put in details that are important. Now moving on to the interview process. Now for Ngee Ann Poly, I got an email saying directly to go for the interview, but Singapore Poly had to go through more steps because a lot of people applied for those courses in CAS. So for both interviews, it is a group interview. So these group interviews were in groups of 3, and we went in and there was a panel of 3 people, and these interviewers were lecturers and head of departments and stuff like that. They weren't like director of the school or anything, so you don't have to worry. And it's very important during the interview, like every other interview, to maintain eye contact, because it shows that you're confident and that you know what you're talking about. And the setting is actually quite comfortable, so you don't have to be super stressed and everything. Just don't go in there thinking that it's a competition and you have to fight against the other 2 people that you're in the group interview with. Because I was in a group interview with 2 other people, and the person beside me actually got in as well. So just be friendly and be prepared. They will ask you questions like, why do you choose this school? And just now I said your choices are very important. This is because Ngee Ann Poly asked me why I put them as a second choice and why did I put Singapore Poly as my first choice. Now, I did not expect this question, so obviously I was stunned and I didn't answer very well. I was just trying to come up with some rubbish reasons. So I said, I did my research and it looks like the course for Singapore Poly was more suited for me. So yeah, but perhaps if I do more research, Ngee Ann Poly will be even better. So the interviewer was like, so you didn't do enough research? Yeah, I said, so yeah, I got an offer from Singapore Poly, but I didn't get an offer from Ngee Ann, which never mind, because even if I got an offer from Ngee Ann, I would have taken Singapore Poly anyways. So yeah, and they basically ask you questions like, why do you choose this course? Do you have any experience in fields like this? Like for me, it was writing and script writing, so they asked me if I have any experience in all this, and it'll be good to say yes, I do. Talk for a good amount of time, always smile, always nod. Even when the other 2 students are talking, you can just smile and I agree. Just be confident. And also don't be surprised if they don't even look much at their portfolio. Like for Ngee Ann Poly, even though I did such a big portfolio, they didn't really look at it, so I had to mention it and say, yeah, I did a lot of volunteering work, as you can see in my portfolio. So I gestured my portfolio and then they opened it up and they saw. So yep, I guess you can do things like that, but just don't be too rude about it. So next is, how do you know you get accepted? You will know a date and a time to go to the portal when you log in, and you will see whether you're given any offers. Now, I was given an offer from Singapore Poly, as I mentioned just now. And basically you just click yes or no, do you accept. Now if you accept, you can choose to reject it later on until somewhere in October. Once you get your results, your O-level results, you cannot reject it anymore. So you have to be very certain that this course you're applying for is really, really the course that you want to study for the next 3 years of your life. There's no U-turn button after you get back your O-level results. You cannot be like, oh, I did better than I expected, I want to go JC instead. You can't. And if you choose no, then no lah. But if you're one of the lucky few to be given the offer, why are you saying no, right? You just wasted all your time. There's no PPP program, you just start school like everyone else. But for Singapore Poly, they actually sent the Poly admission kit earlier, so I got to choose my email, my school email earlier than everyone else. But I got my EZ-Link card at the same time as everyone else. So one very important thing that I have to advise all of you who are thinking of trying out for EAE, although you only need 26 points after you are accepted through EAE to get into your course, you need to ask yourself whether you think you can cope. If you get accepted into business study in Ngee Ann, which requires 9 points for L1R4, and you get accepted through EAE, and all you have to do is score less than 26, right? So you score 25, do you think that you'll be able to cope when you go in? That is a very important question. And also they actually have some conditions, like even if you get less than 26, if you like fail English, you might not be able to meet the course requirement and stuff like that. And you can check out all those in like course books like this. So if you're really interested in poly, you should have gotten these by now. You see over here, you need to get at least a A1 to B4 for English for this course. So even if I get less than 26 points, if I get a C5 for English, my EAE will be revoked. So that's very, very important. Actually, I ended up scoring pretty well for my O-levels, so I could have gotten into this course no problem easily anyways without EAE. I could just come in by the normal way, and I kind of knew that, but I wanted to try out for EAE because I think it's like a very fun experience. Just because you got accepted into EAE doesn't mean that you shouldn't work hard for O-levels, because after that one day when the conversation comes up and someone asks you how much do you do for O-levels, I'm sure you don't want to say I got like 25 points for L1 R4 and you knew that wasn't your best. Study as hard as you can for O-levels, because it's like a pride thing and it's something you can't change forever. So good luck to everyone who's thinking of applying via EAE. And if you're still confused on what EAE means, like what exactly does early admission exercise mean, you can check out my blog post, which I'll be uploading soon after this video, and my blog link will be down in the description box below. Also, please follow me on my Instagram at UGHJermaine, and please remember to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Till next time, bye bye!